Well, I can pretty much speak for, I would say, 95% of PvP2. They're all going to be going or the global server, just because the
Right.
majority of them are Australian, Chinese in the Danes, and American pretty much everywhere else.
Yeah,
So,
and what possible reason would they have to go to the EU server where they're
yep,
going to be time locked out of most of their quest windows?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
exactly. If for one or two guys that I know that actually are in Britain, they will be going, EU, but everybody else will be going global in PvP2. So that'll boost that server about 100, 200.
That's roughly more or less what we're going to lose anyway from hardcore LVR. Eastern Alliance.
The problem is the balance, which is the point of this.
Yes.
Right.
That is going to be the major issue.
Mm-hmm. Because I know
Before we get too much in the balance, guys, Chiling's still waiting for a translator here, I think.
Understood.
Hey, Chailing, what type of Chinese do you speak? Do you speak Mandarin, or I've always just Google translated you, as you no doubt have laughed at before.
Shall I go and wake my wife up?
User joined your channel.
She can do the Mandarin. she'd love it.
What time is it for you, Jeheil?
The girlfriend speaks Cantonese.
7 a.m., mate. You're night flipping me with this.
Oh, night flipping, huh? You should better write a post about it on the forums.
Wake up. You can translate something for me.
We're ruining Jeheil's game.
I can say stop Navy or I fire in Cantonese if that counts.
The main thing with this game though is that when people log on, most people will either pick US, Brit, or go pirate.
Yep.
So we're going to have to reap and sit with the clans that are staying on global, and EU will have to do their own rebalancing.
Yeah, the problem is, if the devs actually turn off alliances, then that's going to kill rebalancing anyway, because there is literally no reason for you to be in a small nation if alliances are turned off. You got to consider things like we have 2 live oak ports on the map, and they have not committed to anything like rebalancing the map. There's a finite number of strong hull ports. There's a finite number of labor contract ports. These are all critical ports that determine your ability to play RVR.
They did mention
also
somewhere where they're
said
rebalancing the map, possibly.
Yeah, they also
I can't
said
remember which location, though.
they want to get rid of the contraband flag, which would mean you can't actually get it out unless you own the port.
So the only thing that's able to trade these things is a free town.
Yeah, effectively. And it would require the, let's say, US players to actually want to give you the live oak.
Yeah, so the best course of action, I guess, would be to limit the amount of nations we're going to play.
Yeah, honestly, the most efficient course of action, if not the most fun course of action, is to create 2 super nations that simply generate content between themselves and wait for them to eventually pull their heads out of their asses and remerge the servers.
Or the other option is we would take everyone to agree on. If you do get, oh no, it won't work without alliances. I was going to say if you did have Eastern and Western Alliance, then you could have given 1 port of each.
Yeah, the problem is if you decide you want to go to a small nation, say, because there were some of us talking about colonizing, say, Sweden, and just making it an RVR haven. Well, that's great until people don't show up, and it's simple reality that numbers are dwindling for the game.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually, when people don't show up, you're screwed. You lose the port because we've all established to our satisfaction, I think, that if you have 15 people show up and the other side has 25 people show up, you just lose.
Yeah.
The one potential drawback with just setting up 2 super nations is, and I have limited experience on PvP2, but on that server, the 2 largest nations are basically aligned to each other. So,
well, we would have to take steps to prevent from happening.
And which two nations would we be talking about? I mean, obviously the American coasts get all the live oak, so they would have to potentially be one. And then what would you do? Go in with the other one and have them just continually fight?
I would suggest not one. I would suggest not Spanish because they start with everything. So we need to make sure that we do 2 nations that aren't, everywhere immediately.
Great Britain has a point of being starting centrally and being to be able to expand in any direction. The US has the ability of you have a pretty much pointed central point in the north from which to expand.
Wow.
Or the French being on the east side, being a counter or an addition to the US.
The problem with the US is that are kind of pinned. They've only really got one direction to go because they got that newbie zone right next to them, which was a stupid place to put it in the first place.
Yeah, they should have. If they were going to make a newbie zone, they should have in the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah,
or on the
Pacific. Yeah.
Given the likelihood of who's going to stay behind, I'd have thought if you're going to start with 2 or 3 nations, that Brits, Cloggies, and Americans would be the best. The Americans are going to be unopposed against Spanish ports until they get a beachhead sorted. The Dutch have got the other side of the map held.
I think our ideal situation here, if we are in a population situation where we can't just have like open RVR, is to simply designate areas as battleground areas, like everybody fights over the ports in Cuba or Haiti or whatever. And, you know, there's an understanding that you're not allowed to take a nation's last live oak port, or you're not allowed to take a nation's last stronghold port or whatever, because those are your tickets to play RVR. If I have a stronghold fleet, you don't, I win almost every port battle, guaranteed.
But the thing is, that's all good in theory, but then as we know how things can change, what happens when one side arguments happen, someone gets pissed off and just be like, fuck it, I'm going to take your live oak port, which
to
will
be honest,
happen.
the real problem with it is not so much that, it's that it takes all of the impetus out of the game to make it so controlled. Like if you're in this for the war game, and I know there's a number of people in here who are, myself included, that's boring.
Yeah, I mean,
you
those
take
are
away
the
the
first ports you go
strategical
for right
decisions
there.
on the map. So.
Well, here's
what I do is I make
one question
in the game.
Do we really have only 2 live oak places?
Yeah. Literally only 2.
And they are right
on the
next
current
to each other.
servers.
There's about 12 ports on the entire map where you can occasionally buy small amounts of live oak, like reasonably small amounts.
But if you want to make a production building,
which will go away,
it's 2.
Yeah, then there's only 2 production ports. That's all you get.
Has anybody logged into test server and checked out that this is still in the after the void actually being alive?
The test server's not even on the patch. It's still got the 3 Joras on there. It doesn't have the PVE zones. They're talking about rebalancing some of the stuff for the PVE.
That's why I'm asking how long they were looking at the resources, and what happens to the resources. Are we still really having only the 2 live oak harbors?
Yes,
or we are going them to spread across
We don't
area?
know. We don't know because the devs have a great tendency to comment in the comment sections of their posts and not update their posts. So one of the comment was, we will be looking into balancing resources. I think that was on their initial post for merging the servers. So we don't know.
But that's not going to happen with this patch. So.
I know, but after asking 5 times, I didn't even get confirmation of a map wipe until I saw it in the Russian forums. And
guys,
so I mean, ideally, what they would need to do is to make sure every nation can actually be take a part in RVR, is to make the nation home ports for live oak ports
and stronghold. Don't forget that.
Either that, or to balance the trims and woods that they aren't completely monolithic choices.
Rather not. Rather they don't, because I think we've learned over the years that they are not very good at balancing things.
The only reason why I would personally, and I know a few of my lot would personally like to go to a smaller nation, is because problem with Brits and that, why there's only 2 battle slots, it means there's continual infighting over all battles. Well, over who goes, what fleets go, which I can understand both sides, but it doesn't help when you've got something like Britain,
a problem.
And we've got, like, you know, on the rare occasion where we can field 3 or 4 port battle fleets, but we can only literally flip 2 ports, it causes an issue.
Might I also suggest as well, which may be a little controversial given the current climate, that people who play during US time zones try their hardest to spread themselves evenly between sides. Therefore, eliminating the fault that would probably occur when it comes to the night flipping in inverted commas.
Night flipping's over though with all night flipping's over with all the US people we're getting now.
And to be honest,
it's
with night flipping, if you think of it, technically everyone gets night flipped. I mean,
no, it will be day flipping.
Yeah, I mean, we all get flipped at inconvenient times. I mean, us being flipped at 3 o'clock server time, 1500 server time, is not ideal considering most of us are at work or we're not around. So it's always going to be inconvenience.
I'm just saying, if we even the sides up, it gives everybody a chance to fight each other at their own times. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you're going to have Americans taking empty ports and us taking empty ports. You see what I mean?
Yeah, but on the global server, it wouldn't be like that because you're getting a lot of the Aussie player base there as well, which aren't all going to go to the same nation. You get the Chinese over as well, plus you get, the Americans. So there will be.
There aren't many Chinese, though, are they?
Yeah, can we just say that we are assuming we are going to get these numbers? We've got to currently assume that we're not going to get the numbers.
Well,
if we do, it's a bonus.
Now. We can ask Jeheil how many of his guys are planning on coming to the global server.
He's still waiting for his translator.
Well, he can. I'll type it to him in chat.
Another option for us guys. I mean, with Live Oak the issue, what if we cut the United States up? And don't and hold on and agree as groups that we're not going to take the ports. That way everybody keeps their resource ports there.
But that works to a degree, but doesn't work if they get rid of alliances. If they get rid of alliances, it still means only 2 nations will have access to them ports.
Exactly.
Everyone else is fucked.
That's the problem.
And that's also something that they're not changing anything either with the Live Oak or resource distribution.
Also, we should try to limit ourselves to agreements that are possible to keep.
But we just
because you can't control where people play the game, and you can't control where new players are going to join.
Not to mention that while we have a lot of clans represented, we're going to have a lot of what we'd consider rogue players that are just going to do their own thing anyways. It would be pretty naive to think that at least 25 players wouldn't show up to a port battle to get Live Oak from people that didn't agree on this meeting.
Okay, but by that logic, any agreement that we're going to do 2 super nations or anything else is pointless at that point.
Yeah. I don't think it is completely pointless. I think we can, because this is still the bulk of our player base, I would say, that's being represented here. So we can still get a basic balance going. I don't think it's completely pointless.
Can I offer a suggestion?
It seems real quick that that Live Oak seems to be one of the biggest things that you guys are talking about. One good thing, if we've noticed, like the devs actually listen to stuff that we put on the forums there. If somebody wants to throw something up about putting some more Live Oak up there, they'll probably get that done easily.
I've been advocating to rebalance the resources since the map was changed.
The crafting only and the resources have been advertised several times since November, pretty much, and nothing has happened. So
my suggestion, it's taken too long for them to do anything. That's the problem.
An achievable.
So my suggestion would be,
Gone.
Yeah.
If there's only if the devs don't do anything about increasing the number of Live Oak ports, can we maybe come to some sort of an agreement where whoever does control it, dump or not dump, but sell Live Oak into the closest free port, which would be, say, St. Mary's. That way, there's a source that everybody can draw off of.
I think that's probably unenforceable.
That's
until they start camping the port.
Yeah, you're gonna have people camping the port, and those with good intentions shipping it in there are gonna get hammered all the time.
Exactly.
And for the rest, the Live Oak that makes it, we're gonna have a gigantic bidding war on it.
But perhaps
the economy would be like it is now.
Perhaps an enforceable
Who's on the submarine?
thing. The guy on the submarine's got some good idea. I'm just decoding it, but perhaps a good perhaps a good idea would be that we call Wilmington as a US port, and if you attack that, you're bad because there'll be no way of enforcing anything. But New Smyrna is worth fighting for, because we've got to have something that's worth fighting for. We can't all be holding hands around the campfire.
Mm-hmm.
So one port.
Yes, of course.
One port we leave.
The number of people that have.
User joined your channel.
Sorry, the number of people that have alts spread out over the clans and nations, I really don't think that Live Oak will be the issue you guys think it will be.
But we can't plan this game for people with alts.
Yeah, we want to get away from alts, so like to make us more dependent on alts shipping the Live Oak out for us wouldn't really help us, would it?
Perhaps we could use this as a teaching experience for the devs. Although
the
I know
alt
how
accounts will
funny that's
always be an issue in an RBR game.
One suggestion is, since Live Oak seems to be the meta for port battles, is what about having Live Oak available in every nation capital? That removes all of that.
Well, you would think they'd do the same with Silver too,
You got to
but
convince
they
the
said no.
devs to do that.
I was going to say
that
would involve common sense, and as we've all seen, they don't have any of that.
And silver's going to be less important pending what they do with modules.
Exactly.
And ship
What do you mean with modules?
Well, they're getting rid of
Upgrade.
modules, and 90%
I think
of the
it's going to be
silver
replacing
cost.
the refit on the building side, because he said there will be refit supplies you'll need still, even though you have the refit.
Yeah, but there's already refit supplies you need. Like you need compass wood for build strength, I think, or whatever it is.
But this is for the actual
But it'll
refit
change out.
note that you bring to build. You also need supplies for that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Potentially that goes into the
Deb
refit.
already said you'll have to have resources from that area to do the refit.
The problem is right now we can't discuss things that haven't written in code yet. So we need to discuss things that are right now.
Yeah, that we can actually do.
Especially with the devs' tendency, because if there's a large amount of negative feedback on that, which there seems to have been, it probably won't happen.
Talking about things that's happening now, how long is it going to take for somebody to build a ship with the amount of compass wood that's around at the moment?
Well, I
remember
think ship resources
That's something we don't
hard to
really
build
know
is going to
because
be
we don't
going
know how
down.
much material would be required. Now there's
On the tent.
durability.
Guys, we
it's
got
supposed
to
to be going
do a
test
better
bed.
job talking one at a time, please.
It's not only the amount you need. Like, if you need 200 redwood or 500, doesn't matter. You have to make the trip. And with a low player count, you don't have any traders doing it for you, so you always have to do it yourself. That means the more different materials, the more you have to run around the bloody place, catching everything together, even if it's only 20 or 200, it doesn't really matter the amount of it. You always have to go to the next port to get the resource out.
Plus, if one shipment is caught up by another nation, that will boost that nation's port battle availability by a lot more than the other nation will lose it.
Which the problem becomes then is that the only way people are going to do it is by running stuff through convoys.
Which
That
again
becomes a
requires
pain
10
in the
players
arse.
or so.
Exactly, and it becomes a pain in the arse to do every 2 seconds.
It will kill the remaining bit of the public players as well. Like,
it will take away time from people actually being able to play RVR when they have to do PvE.
That's
Well,
gonna
the
be PvP.
blueprints, so aren't they on
the
about that
convoys,
meant
it's
to be
just another
doing?
door.
Well, one thing you got to consider, guys, there is players out there who do enjoy trading. It's going to be on this.
So they enjoy trading, they do not enjoy being ganked.
That's all they do.
No,
Yeah,
I
but
don't enjoy
they're
getting
not.
ganked.
They are not enough to balance out the economy anymore. They were when we were 2,000 players. Then you had, I don't know, 200, 300 people shipping stuff around all the time. With 200 players, you have about 30 of those. They're not going to do that spread over 8 nations.
Exactly.
Yeah, the problem is that our economy is almost entirely based on the alts that are the core problem with the game. Most of the abuses in this game would disappear if there weren't alts, but they're not going to get rid of them. That's not a possibility.
No, because
They
that's
cannot.
easily about
They
1,000% of
can't.
their markup, honestly.
I mean, to be honest, most of the people in this room have alts. I do.
You take that. You take that. That's just me.
I'm probably anomalous for not
I don't even know what an alt is.
I deserve a medal for not having that.
Do we want to
You
get back
just
to
put another flare on you one night.
Want a Steam achievement, only one account.
Do we want to get back? Do we want to get back to the goal here, though, guys? I mean, we all know they need to redo ports. but I think we need to figure out where we're going to go as if they don't. What are we going to do now?
Right. The only thing that we do know for sure is that we're lopsided, heavily lopsided.
Well, how do we know that? Have we all gotten a count of people that are coming in from PvP 1 and the people who are in PvP 2 that are going
There
to this
was a
world
post
server?
about it with all the statistics.
Yeah, there was a post, but the thing is, it didn't catch the fact that the British nation, pretty much half of it at least, doesn't actually play any RVR. So
yeah,
that
half of it
population
doesn't do
mean
anything.
anything.
Yeah,
half of it is all
out of sight of.
Yeah. What we do know is that
stuff as soon as they wipe everything.
What we do know is that from the Eastern Alliance in PvP 1, which is the Danes, the French, the Swedish, and the Spanish, the clans in those nations have pretty much all declared in the forums that they were moving over to the EU server. So that's
because they're the driving force behind the EU server.
The thing is like they've asked for this server split. Fair enough, they've got their own reasons. I don't see the server split lasting for long because yes, they're all going to go over there to a new server, but then they're all going to have to split up and fight each other. They're going to get bored of that sooner or later. And there isn't enough player base to have two different servers. So sooner or later, it's all going to merge back into one.
One question. Why would the EU server be bored by having content? And content being RVR PvP fights?
Because expect the Russians to steamroll everything that happens on that server. And that'll be the end of that.
No,
we'll see the French coming. We'll see the French coming back very quick once RDNN and Russ destroy them.
I don't see the point in guessing what's going to happen over there, to be honest. They're going to have a similar problem to us that they're going to go over. We're going to be all left-handed, they're going to be all right-handed. We need to work out how to have some fun on this server and leave the Euros to their 7 PM to 9 PM beautiful world.
Yep. Agreed, totally. Agreed.
In that case, are there any people that are willing to change nations over to some of the other nations?
Well, PvP1 US had a meeting last night, and most of the clans in PvP1 US are willing to change.
User left your channel.
Yeah, I know that me and my clan, we've spoke, and we would be willing to maybe look at changing.
Well, okay, so from PvP2 Dutchlands, a majority are not willing to change from the Dutch. But
there's
are
not
willing
much
to
of us
change,
to begin with, though.
But they are willing to change nations if we all go to the same nation. So basically, if you pull one of us, you're going to have to pull all of us. And that's something we can definitely push. I don't think that'll be a problem.
Yeah, but the Dutch in this server is an underpopulated nation anyway, so having them fold into the Dutch wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing.
Yeah, and that's what I was pretty much thinking. Because
we're presuming that there's two servers, and I've noticed that too.
You won't be surprised to know that the SLRN is not likely to change from being a British clan.
And neither is Dogs.
But are we thinking of going on the Euro server or the global one, though?
Global.
I think we're going to global, because
okay.
Our population is split between the US time zone and the European time zone almost equally, I think.
I'm not that extreme for Dogs, but none of us wants to.
The British nation on this server is probably, at this point, maybe 20% people who are willing to play in North American time zone or able to play in North American time zone. Though not all those players are North American. Some are people like Jones, who that's the time slot he plays in, because he works late in the day.
Or me, that's on 24/7.
What do you think you're going to lose, Augustus, from your RVR to the other server?
From Zerg in particular, or
from Zerg or from the nation? Whichever.
I don't know. It's hard to judge that because nobody's really concretely decided where they're going to go.
User joined your channel.
There's not been a lot of people on since they announced the wipe anyway, because no one's got the.
Yeah, I mean, the odds.
I would say realistically, Augustus. Realistically, you've got to look at 50%.
Yeah, I was going to say
sure.
about half.
In a worst case scenario, yeah, but there's also the possibility that depending on how quote unquote revitalized the game is by a wipe, we might at least initially end up with more people than we have right now.
There is, but I would say go with worst case scenario.
Yes, but a worst case scenario, yeah, and I would expect to lose maybe 50%.
Because hold on, no, Treadbill, the German clans, you guys are going to EU, I heard. Or are you staying? So yeah, so if you take out the German clans as well, yeah, roughly about 50%, I'd say we'd probably lose from the British.
Well, are we talking about population or are we talking about RVR population?
RVR. The rest
The
of
RVR.
We're talking about probably 40 to 50 RVR active players.
Cordova.
Yes, sir. Hold on, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. What do you say is your RVR population?
Sir, I'm just on my phone here, so I'll do my best.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. No, it's fine. So we can field with Britain and so AGW, CKA.
This is on PvP2, by the way, guys.
Yeah, this is PvP2. So with CKA and all the satellite clans that play with us in Britain, we can generally field about 12 to 15 players on our own, and then 25 if the Dutch and the US come and help us. So we've got that's at any given time for a port battle. So we probably 20 guys we have that are regular players, kind of thing.
That's not too bad. No, that's.
Welcome to PvP2, PvP1 players.
PvP2, the US and Great Britain are definitely the two factions that have the largest population. It's, again, as we said before, it's trying to figure out how many of those are RVRs, alts, or just PvEs or guys that come in.
But prior to the wipe announcement, Great Britain alone, between Great Britain and her allies, we could field, 4 RVR fleets on a really good day.
But I think your
point... The thing is, that is currently, because if we get a lot of returning players, it's probably going to be more than that.
Yeah, but historically, while this game does get bumps from patches, they don't last.
No, they don't.
If it's a good enough patch, it'll last.
I think Augustus, the basic thing is we'll have to have essentially Britain versus America to start off with as the primary enemy.
I agree.
And I think originally, amongst the captains on here, we start off that the battleground might be Cuba. Until we get a better sense
I'm fine with that.
Until we get a better sense of what's going on with other nations, and we'll get people who decide they'll want to be Dutch or they'll want to be whatever.
Yeah, the battleground big. Okay, but then let me ask. What about the pirates? What do they think? We got some of them in here as well.
Hang on a minute, pirates think what?
Oh, then damn pirates.
I think pirates should just do whatever they want, because
pirates. They might not be.
All right, wait. Pirates are just like another nation. We're just the black colored nation.
It's like
that's
pirates.
Exactly.
Pirates should do whatever they want is not really a helpful.
Well, especially now when we're not having the alliance system anymore.
What I'm saying is, if you've got the battleground over Cuba, obviously, I know on PvP1, I don't know what it's like on 2. But on PvP1, pirates have a bit of Cuba as well, and if more people do come back to the game and go back to pirates, which has talked about, they're not probably going to be too impressed that is going to be the only battleground that you guys are coming up with.
Oh no, the pirates on PvP2 just a week ago owned every single silver port except one. Correct me if I'm wrong, Texas. But you owned all of them except one, correct?
Yeah, but our main thing, we wanted to make sure we had a buffer around port before we did that. And that was just operation because we can't handle a bunch of ports, so we just did specific spots that's in a hurt.
Just interruption. Keep an eye on the lobby. One of the mods is going to join us. I've just given him the details.
Wait, we trash talk the mods now before they come in.
It's way more fun when they're in here when we do it.
I got a quick question. I know
it's not working to log in. Hang on. You guys carry on.
Which mod is it?
I hear everybody saying that after every patch. Now, I'm new. I've only been with the game for about a week. And so far, I'm definitely loving it. Thank you. Airwolf actually brought me in. He's part of our gaming community, and he's been raising awareness. So we should have about 5 or 6 people that should be active after the wipe from the UN gaming community. Now, the question that I have is I hear everybody say after every patch there's a little bump and then they go away. Has anybody ever isolated or tried to figure out why they leave? Is it because
the patch is generally crap, to be honest?
And you get a lot of people. Yeah, a lot of people turn up back to see what new with the patch because they like the game. The game's too broken for them at the moment, so they're just checking after each patch.
Yeah, the issue is that each patch rearranges the pieces but doesn't add new ones.
All right.
The last big bump we got was when they added land infos. When tagging someone near the coast made the land appear in the battle. That bumped the server population back up to like 1,000, but that's only so cool for you. You know what I mean? But there's no real new content there.
Technically, the new port battles also, but that really lasted only for a week or two, and then everybody was gone again.
Yeah, sorry, quick interrupt. Is there a physical address I can give this guy? The name address doesn't seem to be working.
The IP address?
Yeah. I know sometimes with this server it can get a bit hairy.
Yeah. User joined your channel.
Does he have the password right?
Yep, I'm PMing him in game, so it's not going out in public.
User disconnected from your channel.
Yeah, I was kind of curious if it was like the learning curve, because I mean, if I didn't have Airwolf, actually holding my hands through most of this, I've been on the forums and the documentation.
It doesn't help.
The learning curve is a problem for newer
You can't
players.
get into like some of the major activities until you're in the 4th rate. Now, that cutoff happening right before that.
Well, the thing is they've more or less excluded certain people unless you're in a clan or unless you know people that have the blueprints. They've excluded a lot of people from port battles because shallow water you need heavy rattle.
It's heavy rattle or get wrecked.
Heavy rattle Agamemnon and then one of the first
fourth rate, you don't turn up for an Agamemnon, you might as well go home straight away. And obviously now it seems that with the new way that they've done first-rate battles, it's all about the brawl and boarding. So oceans are the only way to go, unfortunately.
User joined your channel.
If it's in the Constellation, Kyle, and I'm new like you, sir, I know how you feel.
But he's not retarded like you, so it's all right.
Oh, damn.
The thing with new players is even if you throw them ships, money, everything, they still leave after a while because they just have no inclusion for such a long time.
Considering that two guys that exact same thing. I threw money, I threw ships, I threw pretty much the entire world at them almost, and they go and play Elite Dangerous instead.
Yeah, but you'll always get people like that. I mean, even we've tried to encourage new players. Some players will stick around, some players won't.
Has this council or this?
Okay.
I don't know what you refer to yourself as, a council or fleet or whatever. Have you guys ever thought about grabbing a group of people, forming a little welcoming committee, and when you find new people, kind of hold their hands and kind of nursemaid them into the game and give more influence?
We have.
Well, actually,
all these people were sitting there saying that they would, give them ships and sail with them, and give them money so they can get bigger ships.
Yep.
But what you have is, because there is really no instruction booklet for a new person, and you can only hold their hands so far.
Gotcha.
And people just go and they leave. But you're going to get that in a lot of games.
At the risk of sounding like an asshole, as a player, it's not my job to populate the game for the developers.
No,
Can I just say, I mean, Karen probably knows the same. As a new player, ships and money, yes, it's nice. Isn't actually what helps. It's actually the advice that you get from on what it is you need to do. Like, for example, I was advised to tell like the crafting hours or how to go about doing missions, trying to find a couple of people to go with. Ships and money is secondary.
You find a lot of YouTube videos. You find a lot of YouTube videos about this.
If a player needs to watch 10 hours of videos before he can start playing, that's like
to be
playing
honest,
sim
I think
planes.
we could all agree that it wouldn't be a bad idea if the devs done some kind of tutorial for new players. And
this should do by now.
But it's as easy as Minecraft.
It's easy for us because we all know exactly what to do. I mean, I could go and wipe my character, start a new one.
If you're new in, you don't know stuff like Live Oak is the strongest, so you might have the rough idea of that is probably going to be the strongest, but not everyone knows their way around the woods, so...
But like Augustus said, at the end of the day, that's the devs' problem. The devs also need to get off their asses and help as well, and not just rely on jobs.
A quick interjection, chaps. I think this is interesting. Obviously, there's some wonderful YouTube channels out there to help new guys, but it's not really.
Yes, Jeheil, we're promoting you.
It's not really the topic. The topic is how we're going to spread ourselves up as we go to global. I think.
Gotcha. Okay.
The main thing is how to find PvP action.
I think we've talked about nation distribution, etc., inside our own clans. I did make a spreadsheet with... Here, let me just link it.
That would actually be a good idea. Putting a spreadsheet up with each clan putting roughly how many members they got on which nation they're thinking of going to.
That's exactly what I did.
And then we can kind of work out roughly which one's going to be slightly underpopulated or which one's overpopulated and work it around that way.
The problem is we have
in the global meeting.
The only
get every
problem
clan to
is
put
we
the
can
details in here.
We can start balanced like that, but we have literally no control over where.
Disconnected. Connection lost. Connected. Channel switched.
People swap
User joined
nations
your
all the
channel.
time anyway because people
Not
get
anymore.
bored. Well, yeah.
If they go through with their changes, there won't be swapping nations.
Guys,
all right, quiet real quick. Let's get this back on track a little bit. Let's try and get the balance going. That's it. All right, we can't dictate where new players are going to join. We can't dictate resources and ports.
We just need to get the bases set up. That's all we need to do.
So my thought of when I first wrote the post was, all right, let's have like 3 or 4 nation blocks, right? Because not everyone's going to play Spanish, not everyone's going to play France on the server. So, what? U.S., Brit, Sweden, Pirates, right? Maybe we can try all populating all 4 of those nations and having a pretty good mix-up in map coverage.
But how, in the absence of alliances, how do you deal with Live Oak?
We have no idea if that's going to be
was
in
moved to your
effect.
channel.
I
So
think
we can't plan for it, we
just
can't
say
plan with it.
New Smyrna is open for anybody to have a crack at, and hold off Wilmington until we're more established.
I mean,
Wilmington doesn't have Live Oak.
No, it's Sunbury. It's Savannah.
How did we do
Savannah.
alliances now with Live Oak? All right, is one alliance block came in and got it, and that's what's going to have to happen.
Okay, so why don't we fill out the spreadsheet? Keep in mind this is for the future, what clans are planning on doing, and please no range on the numbers.
User disconnected
The
from
adding
your
up doesn't
channel.
work that way. Just a
This is for global only.
This
Yes.
is global only, yep.
And it's for RVR. So it doesn't matter how many players you have. For PvE. Doesn't matter for that.
I mean, we just cannot go in there planning entire game around 2 Live Oak ports. Unfortunately, Dev's going to have to change it, and I think they've hinted at crafting changes and better resource distribution. I mean, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I think
I'm
I've
pretty
read
sure
that
that will
somewhere.
happen.
Just a quick interruption. Aventador, your list is really nice, but I threw 50 people in there. That's my technical number. I know of at least 5. Technically, we're 60. I know of 5 that are definitely not coming back because they already wrote me mails. Not going to play the game after the wipe anymore. And
You're fine.
How
Put
many?
in
Yeah, but if you have
realistic numbers.
60 people in your clan, you are Great Britain right now. If you have 60 active
Why don't you
players.
guesstimate how many people
But they're
will
not
actually
act-
be
like-
port battle players?
Half of these players only play once a week. Like,
active
So then that's
port
not
battle
50 people.
players.
Yeah, we're talking about RVR players. Those are
Active,
the
yeah,
only
active.
numbers
Oh,
that
that's what
matter.
you want on that thing?
Yes,
Yeah.
active port battle players, and where you intend on going.
Yeah, because active, if we're talking about unactive debt, if we're just
okay,
talking
if you
about
only
numbers of
go by
players.
RVR, I got it.
Hey, if somebody wants to throw up a link to the forum post there and everything, so that everybody who's in here that hasn't posted their numbers can post it up there, that'd be awesome.
It's like
The Google.
Here, the
is it
spreadsheet is right here.
the Google Docs?
Okay, so real quick
There we
on
go.
this spreadsheet, us PvP2 players will also indicate if our nation or clans from PvP2. But you'll see Dutch National there for the Verenigde Provinciën. We just run our clans differently, so that's our total Dutch population, the RVRs.
Silence.
So
One
for the
question I have,
spreadsheet,
and
yes.
that I'm thinking of since about 3 months since I started this game, is, and after looking through the lot of letter to the king, is there was a lot of
User
action
disconnected from
when
your
we had the
channel.
flag system, and it seems to have dropped off since we have the port battle system. The other thing is we had a lot of complaints about when port battles are scheduled. Main reason is not people are actually able to participate in RVR or PvP. What about if we combine these things two, these two
User
things
was moved to your channel.
of scheduling a port battle through the application of flags, bringing that mechanism back in, and then have a final port battle.
It's been suggested to the devs
but
on multiple
That's-
occasions.
that's-
also
that
that's
they don't
on
wanna
the
go
scope
down.
of what we're doing here.
Yeah.
It's a good
we
idea.
need to have a handle on it. Like I loved flag system because
With
any time I could just
35
start
people.
something.
Really?
Okay, wait. I'm seeing a lot of people
some numbers
type in.
unrealistic.
I'm seeing a lot of people typing on the Google Doc that's up and everything. Just remember, your numbers are gonna go back up to like your stronger, older numbers. Like once this merge happens and everything, a lot of people are gonna come back. So right now you might be weak at like 3-4 guys or something like that. But if you were at 12 guys before, you're probably going back up there.
But you need to consider that we will have another drop of the player base after the wipe gonna happen, and so we need to discuss
Go with the
realistic
players we've
numbers.
got now.
But that drop isn't going to be instantly. That's going to be down the road. Plus, also, you got to think there's all what we call more rats. Is all your random people that fill up the port battles too.
Well,
Dude,
for
down the road can be in 2 weeks after the wipe. Like
for our clan, I will put down the numbers that we have active at the moment, not the ones that might come back.
Yeah, that's what
Because
I've
we
done.
might,
We need to
we
balance
might
the
get, we might get 15, 20 people back. We might only get 5 back. So I'm not going to speculate on how many we're getting back.
Plus,
Then
you
do
might
like
get a
10.
few back, and you might lose a few.
Yeah, I think
Exactly.
the break.
Go with what you've got now.
The break between now and the wipe will cause a lot of attrition because it's such a long time. You're seeing it. You know, people aren't even defending core
They
ports.
waited way too long.
Can 7-Up really field 35 people?
No.
Not at once,
No.
but overall, yes, we have about 35 people.
it's the same with dogs. Like 10 people is over the entire day.
How
under
many
different
people can you
circumstances.
realistically field, Jags, is what we're looking for.
About on a good day, probably about 15 to 18 people.
On average, not a good day. Average.
Put 15 on there. Just like TF Double D. I mean, you guys can do like 5. You know.
Yeah, even 15 is a huge number right now for a
It
single
is, yeah.
clan.
For 2, yeah.
Yeah, well, this was before the announcement.
Well, yeah, I'm
Why Lip exists, I like that.
I mean, what do we know about the PvP guys, or sorry, the PvP 2 US guys? We didn't have any of them show up, did we?
No, some major kind of things happened to them once they got wiped out by people.
My best knowledge is
They were
maybe
wiped
Cordova
out of
knows
their
more than
resources. Most
we
of them
do.
quit.
BKA 20, nice.
Because I'm not seeing any PvP2 US guys going up, but they
all
got
quit.
some numbers, but they're so split amongst like little clans. It's
What would you guesstimate their port battle strength is altogether?
I would say their port battle strength right now is probably about 15 right now, like about 15 mixed between like about 6 clans.
And let's assume they're all going to the U.S. nation, right?
They'll stay
right?
U.S. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll
US,
definitely.
dude.
Well,
I'm
actually,
just gonna guess
I don't know
here.
about that, Duncan, because DD is.
Well,
pissed all
DD's
at 'em.
only problem is they don't like this. They don't like this alliance and everything going. They want to actually like fight against the Brits, and there's that big alliance going between the two. So, but they
And
might
the other problem,
stay
the
if there's
majority
no
of the
alliance.
PvP
They'll
guys
stay.
are still mid-level.
Yeah, they're working themselves up now. There.
Do we have most of this filled out so far? Are there any
Yeah,
clans that are missing?
it's coming along pretty good. It looks like.
Where is it? You're reporting that from?
It's on these spreadsheets here that's been linked a couple times.
That got linked like 10 times in a row.
Yeah, I got you, man.
Apparently I missed it or something. But yeah, this is nice. So this can kind of show you where all the power stands, because I was in the dark over who's coming for PvP1. I'm not too familiar with a lot of PvP1 guys. Except Eulogy.
For the spreadsheet, please no words or just straight numbers. It'll mess up the thing. There's actually totals down on the 50 line.
Hey, it's also helpful to use that straw poll that Texas posted. That looks pretty good.
Yeah, but
that's kind of nice.
that's the whole point of this meeting, right?
Oh,
Deciding where
sorry.
to go, so
Wait, really?
that's
One
what was
one
going-
person in that clan? Come on.
Well, liquidity, that's only liquidity.
Yeah, liquidity, you only need him on his own.
We didn't say how many
He's
alts.
a-
That's a
he's
full
a
battlefield
one-man-
on its own, yeah.
It's
He's a one-man
the
Joined your
That's like
channel.
8 alt accounts coming at you right there.
yeah. That's like when Sparta sent one soldier, isn't it?
Liquidity can like play his own small battles on his own.
Nice.
And still win.
Chuck Norris of Naval Action.
Can the
I have a question. Can we actually see the prime time for those who will play these clans with these numbers? 'Cause
Some of them are mixed.
if the prime time will be spread all over the day and night.
We can
the
actually
actual
put the time zone of the clan
Yep.
underneath the nation, because that's like empty right now.
Apparently, Britain's got 42,942.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can the OS clan please adjust to just a single number, please, no range?
Alright.
Just put your minimum number if you
Just
don't know.
wait then.
42,000, I wish.
This spreadsheet's like a testament to who didn't graduate elementary school.
Stop breaking the spreadsheet, guys. Come on.
I thought the UK had a good education system here. You know, I guess not.
We do.
But hold on. Are you noticed the clan? It's Oz, meaning Aussie.
The problem is
Is that what that
we do have a good education system over here, but the further north you go, the thicker they get.
Hey,
Isn't that right, Crowley?
I shut
Augustus, if you stick me down for a 1, I'm going to be playing a French nation.
Give me 2 minutes. I gotta let those two idiots out of my basement.
Playing French.
I'm going back to the motherland. I am. I'm going to play France.
I hear the name Carup's available if you want it.
Sorry, dude.
No. You can be Slaughterer the Badass.
Yeah.
You actually want the number to reflect the regular players?
Yeah, this whatever you
Not
you
the
can
total in
muster
clan.
right now, right? Just
See,
just
right now we got so many people that are just taking breaks because like there's not too much of a point
All right,
right now.
well,
We're
let's
gonna get a
say
huge gain like once this
what
comes
you
out.
could muster before the stupid wipe was announced. How about that?
Before it was announced, yeah, because I
Right.
think everybody was almost some of them maybe even double your numbers then, you know.
Yeah, we run about 15 to 20 on average when we got action, and that's why we were doing everything because we had action. As soon as the action died, people stopped logging in.
We're pirates, we got short attention spans, so.
Squirrel. Hey, silver.
Yeah,
No more
mission.
silver, so we stop.
Yeah.
Ooh, butterfly.
What is it? Are Rubly going to the fucking global server?
Yeah, everyone is putting stuff in here. Are you guys going global?
Yeah, no, I was just wondering where Rubly was
you
going.
guys talking to me?
Again?
Who?
Possibly.
Was somebody just asking me a question?
No, I was just asking where Rubly's going, global or.
We
EU?
don't know yet. We don't know yet. We are looking for the most populated server.
Yeah, of course.
We the most peer-oriented guys, so the RVR only like rules guys or others.
Rubly,
RVR
come
Yeah,
only-
but you don't. You,
What time zone though?
you don't tie yourself to like the night flip decision, don't you?
early EU. Early European time.
Rubly, come and play France with me. Join France. I like Rubly. Join
we're
my
looking at
French
2
nation.
people. Come join France. We
Right,
could use more.
right. Love's just lost his mind.
The problem is alliances.
Uh,
If the alliances will be switched off forever, we will probably
Wait, why?
switch for the nation for the pirates.
Hey, Chenling, are you
Or at
only
least
bringing
populated.
15 active players over to PvP Global? I thought you were bringing 30 to 40 there. That's what you said in the chat.
Ones that can go to the port battle. That's what the question is.
Still
Yeah,
higher
number-
than 15.
Numbers
I mean, it's
fluctuate
putting
for
your
these guys,
absolute
you know?
minimum.
Like right now, you probably only gonna get like none of the guys on like right now, but afterwards,
think
you know,
it's-
they should be able to do around like
It's more or less they are looking for the consistent
20+.
average number, not.
Yeah,
Just
instead of
exact
people
or-
trying to magic up a few numbers, I think everybody should go for even like the worst case scenario, because then
Okay.
you've got you've
what the
definitely
Swedish
got a
numbers are.
definitive number to work with. It's easy to say, oh yeah, we'll get some back, and so we'll add an extra 10 on. But you don't actually know that those people will come back. So you've got to go with what you know.
Yeah, go with what you know. It's the best thing to do.
I changed the SMS one, by the way, Davos, to 1, because you're the only one that shows up.
What about Ahoy? Where's Ahoy going? Delta?
We haven't really decided yet.
Ahoy are going Spain, aren't they?
Global. Ahoy is going global.
EU Spain Ahoy is.
Yes, global, but we haven't decided which nation yet.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I meant.
I'll turn it back to what it really was, because half the time they're just sitting out because the bells are full.
Everyone put their current nation down so we can actually see what the numbers are kind of like.
Current nation,
I'm
can we put
recruiting
down...
for France at the moment, so Ahoy can come to France.
Well, if you want our current nation, we're in 2 nations. We're in Pirates and Brits. Put down both if you want.
I mean, we're in like 7 different nations for the Swedish numbers, so...
Yeah, it's not gonna work.
We're not counting
Your
all
main
folks.
nation. Main
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, we have a bunch of people in different nations right now, because Woody's been playing. And they're all coming back.
Alright, so basically just a rough estimate here is exactly what I thought is. Brit's going to be big, US is going to be pretty good at night, and Pirates are going to be popular.
Actually, I think US, especially because does anybody know if this is going to be US-based server or European server yet?
We haven't had an official word yet.
It's somewhat predictably going to be US
New
server,
Jersey.
'cause that way
If
they'll
it's
keep the
US,
current server positions.
If it's US, the biggest draw, the biggest like population is like the United States. Like so many people, as long as it's listed like US, they will continually join the United States side.
Well, what's going to happen is it's not going to say US, it's going to say global, then the other one's going to say EU. So US will probably be more likely to join global.
No, he's talking about the nation pick. Because most of the majority of the people tend to pick their home nation.
Well, I don't think they're getting rid of the nations.
Well, as soon as they see US based, they're like, okay, let me join, the US based server, and then they're like, well, who am I going to join? Most of them, unless they got preferences towards something else, or they just got a hair up their ass to be a pirate or Dane or something like that, then they
No
just
one
join
knows
US.
what ours is.
Pirates will change anyway if they split them into 2. Which
Yeah, in
talked
2020.
about.
They still don't know what they're doing with all that.
I don't know.
one of the
It's
things-
split us. I think they're just going to give us the option of, be the radical guy or be the guy who does national stuff.
One of
France
the
will
things that
rise
EU
and conquer the
server,
globe.
well, that's one thing that's on the EU server will probably happen, is that the Americans will pretty much disappear as a nation.
Yeah. They already are barely in existence during the day. Like, you guys only suddenly appear during the night for a while. And
Did that moderator get in the end?
Quick word about that.
Yeah, he's
the Americans
mostly
on
in
PvP2.
chat. He's in the chat channel. Neuronis.
Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
The Americans on PvP2 have pretty good numbers. Like, they're one of the... do better than the Brits on PvP2. They can actually fill a full port battle. They've done it recently. Whereas Brits have always struggled to fill a full port battle by ourselves. And I think a lot of those guys are actually going to join the global, is from what I gather. So the US will have players.
So we should bump up the PvP2
Yeah,
US
the
number.
U.S. has filled 2 port battles at the same time with just their numbers, with a couple of Brits and a couple of Dutch.
I don't think we have to worry of the Brits or the US getting numbers to fill port battles.
Well,
What
what the
about
point of
the
this
other
was to
nations?
see if we can get some Brit and US clans to filter into some of the other nations. Because that's we know who's going to have the numbers.
Which
we
ones
know
are
who
actually
isn't going to
want
have them.
to? Because if you force them, they will leave.
Well, exactly.
That's true.
How about just agreeing that those 2 are at perpetual war?
I would agree to that.
I mean, that's how it used to be in
Everybody who's not British
PvP1.
in the US would agree to
That's
that.
always been my complaint about the 2 big alliances. Should be fighting each other, not joined together.
So global will become 1812.
Yes.
US against Great Britain.
User
I
joined your
think
channel.
we still have a problem though, because Spain, France, Denmark, and Sweden have fraction of the amount of players that we have.
Agreed,
User
but
in your channel
generally
timed out.
our users are going to be a lot closer to the same number. You know what I mean? Like the Swedes are going to be close to the same as French or whatever. If we get Great Britain coming in and slapping us in the face, we're done. You know what I mean?
Well, I would like to
If
bring
you
up a
two-
point
if-
in terms of France, anyways. I know, especially on PvP 2. For instance, you see that Sync, they had 20 up there at one point because I think that's their total
User
clan number.
disconnected from your
But
channel.
France is a really popular nation, and you will get added people into France. France won't remain that small for a very long time. Whereas, say, for Renegade Provincia, and I'm just using us as an example, we get one new player every 2 weeks, and generally they stay. But
Well, plus you
so-
get the obviously the French Canadians. I mean, they're not going to want to play on an
And
EU
then you
server.
got the Schwede or Schwede.
yeah,
Or
well,
however it's
Sweden will stay
pronounced
about
in
the
that,
same.
and
There.
they tend to not get much people in there.
Yep.
But you
Now
get
the Dane number
one.
there, I feel is a little bit low on the PvP2 side, just simply because every battle we fought against them, they filled it. But I know that they did have a little bit of Swedish support and about 2 or 3 guys from France every time as well. So.
But then I'd look at these numbers as well and just have this is just a rough estimate.
Yeah.
This doesn't mean that
Well,
the
then
clans are
whereabouts you don't
definitely.
want me on it.
It doesn't mean that the clans are definitely set in stone to stay at these nations. They switch.
At this very second now. 'cause
Once everyone's spoken to their members and decided where we want to go.
So we decide,
I mean, just looking at this right now, we're looking at one person in Spain.
Naval Action.
Right.
Yeah, I
and
think
then-
that's all we have in PvP 2 as well. About 1 or 2 people. that are gonna
Already
be staying
dead,
there.
open mic, dude.
They do come.
Moving out quickly.
Because most of them are going Swedes again.
Hey,
I
Duncan,
think-
Texas, what's that one pirate clan you two hate a lot? And how many
Hydra?
players do they have? Yeah, Hydra. How many players does Hydra have? Because I know they're going to stay
active, like
pirate.
1 or 2.
And, yeah, right now probably like 2. The leader guy is like gone. He got attacked so many times by our alts that I think he quit.
Supposedly Mumbo Jumbo went to
Yeah, a
France.
lot of people quit the U.
Yeah, Mumbo Jumbo went to France last I heard.
User was moved out of your channel.
Thank you.
So from
France will become very popular as soon as I move there.
So from what I'm reading, Axel in the chat is saying that he expects there to be a reasonable number of Swedes staying still as well on global.
Well, no, it's going to be the ones that are on the list right now are who's definitely going to be there.
This is returning people, not people paying.
Yeah, if you guys know any clans that aren't represented here and you know their numbers and everything and where they're going, feel free to like put some stuff up for them.
Right, or just an estimation.
Yeah, purchase an estimation, yeah.
Yeah, the Swedish numbers are basically our very minimum numbers that we think we're getting.
Yeah.
Considering that the Swedish clan, HRE, plus the rest of the Swedish nation, as I know from Sweno, are going EU.
Yeah, all the EU Swedes are gone. That's what I've gathered.
Basically, right now, you need to assume that all the heavy RVR players in the Eastern Alliance on PvP1 are gone. Are going to be gone.
Yes. Yes.
So we need to either plan without them or what?
I think it's best to go for it without. I mean, because most of them announced already. It's just to go ahead without them.
So that means we have 2 fairly decently sized nations. That's going to be Brit, going to be US. And they
Do we
cannot
know
be
pirates?
allies.
Do we know
You
where
know what that
Pervs are
means?
going?
I'm gonna kick your ass, Christendom.
Oh, God, here we go.
It might be worth asking the smaller clans here, because I'm assuming Zerg and CKA, they are not moving dogs. Their foots are planted.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's a lot of animosity towards certain players in like the French and stuff, and a lot of the guys will not switch servers and will not switch nation anymore.
none of my guys will go to Sweden, that's for sure.
The French players are gone. The French players, most of them are going to go, so it's just a nation.
It's going to be basically
not
clean
arguing.
slate.
It's not
on the
arguing.
eastern side of the map.
It's a general decision though. Like there was a lot, especially Dogs got a lot of flack from certain players for playing Britain lately. A lot of stuff happened in the chat, and we had a meeting today, and the guys literally said, "I'm not playing French. It's not happening." So there's no way my guys are gonna move.
I'll persuade them.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen, dude.
Oh, you will not be playing French as well, you know it.
I know there's
Crowley,
like
don't
2
dare
or
me.
4 French
Don't
U.S.
dare me.
players that will probably come over.
Coming from Sweden's perspective, we don't care if Great Britain and U.S. are big. Like I said earlier, as long as they're fighting each other and not just stomping all the little guys.
That needs to be the key point here is that the
Yeah.
two big clans cannot be allied together, even unofficially, if we want to have the server survive. Otherwise, it's going to turn into a repeat of what PvP2 looks like, and that's pretty much been dead for a year.
And pretty much how you guys were heading to as well on PvP1.
Just during the evenings, yeah. But during the day, it was rough.
All right, well, I gotta go for a little bit. Just gonna stay on the channel. I might be back before it ends or whatever.
I'll
Vander
keep you up to date
Deckens
if
here
anything.
from Dutch as well. Davis is here from Dutch PvP2 as well, so should be covered still.
So Augustus, I mean, it looks like you guys are going to have the bulk, the remaining population of PvP1 on Brit. Are going to outnumber
Probably.
the
Well, if we lose all the
PvP2
German
guys.
players, that's a lot of players to lose as well.
Yeah, but
Can
still.
you safely say that you guys won't be, will be able to unally with the US guys?
Yeah, sure. But I mean, in terms of as it stands now, I mean, if you attacked us at 2 a.m. server time, no, you'd kick our ass.
You're going to have a decent amount of, evening guys.
And now,
so-
unless we pick up a contingent of U.S. players who are active in those times.
Oh, you will be fine, trust me.
Yeah, you gotta
I built
set
my
it
up
right.
for like 41 people in less than a week.
So just to summarise,
Based on what I have right
It's
now,
pretty easy to do.
Just to summarise,
yeah, if we pick up U.S. players, it's fine.
where we're at right now, what we're looking at is probably US versus Brits. They can't ally, otherwise it will root the whole server. If you're a new player, you should probably pick one of those two to join, unless you have a particular penchant for a different flag. And we start off with Battlefield Cuba.
What about Haiti? There seems to be always a lot of going on around Haiti, and it's quite in the research.
Well, Cuba
Haiti
Well,
for
what
the
they're
smaller
talking about
nations
is-
to
User
beat each
joined
other
your
up.
channel.
Sorry,
what they're
on
saying
the
is
phone,
there's
guys.
not going to be a Spanish nation, so it's going to be take all their ports,
There might still be some Spanish players, but I think there should be a minimum ports region that you should never push a nation below.
Yeah,
that's
I'd
not
agree with
the
that.
goal of this meeting, though. But
Yeah, but I think that if you do that, if you go that route and create safe space, you take away a lot of the impetus for the strategic element of the
There
game.
is 71 regions. Every nation can have 15 regions. But if you allow them to at least have 3 to 5, that means you have plenty.
But
No,
without alliances, it doesn't really make a difference because if you one port a nation, you're going to really anger some other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not
So
talking
you're probably
about
gonna
one
get one
porting a
yourself.
nation.
You're probably going to get hit by 3 different nations at the same time.
PvP1 seems to keep that in check pretty good, so hopefully we get that same influence over here too.
What I'm saying is, why do I want to sit up all night planning an operation for a port that means nothing?
No, Augustus. What I think what he meant was not exactly specific zones, but don't reduce a nation down below a certain amount of zones. You know what I mean?
They're like,
It's
3 to
not
5
specific
is like a
zones.
golden number. Just we got to figure out where. Because, like I said, there are 71 regions. That means everyone can have, I think, was it like 15 or something like that. There's no reason to drop them below the 3 or 5 mark.
I don't think that's necessary at all. I think one porting is fine as long as that calls the end of the war, and then they can build back up.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, that's
there's
pretty much
no
what we're
end.
doing to
There's
the
no
Swedes
stop.
over there.
There's no end
won't
to a
happen.
war. The wars
don't
don't
think
end.
there's a
There is
problem
no
with
victory mechanic. There is no victory mechanic. So you
It's-
can't plan things based on the ending of a war.
And we
Yeah.
have no end
Problem-
game in this game so far.
The
So
problem
the point
occurs
is
with the
to
one-
fight.
The
Yeah,
thing
but the
I've-
problem occurs with the one porting is you could end up like what Vicious did to America when America had 10 players. And drove
The
even
problem
those 10
is when the
players
war
away.
shifts from a war against the nation to a war against the nation's player base.
Yeah.
And that's what the one porting and camping them is. It's a war against the nation.
The thing is, as well, what you got to remember is, as well, I've seen it quite a few times where a nation has been one ported, and after a while, they end up rebuilding. It brings them together, and they end up pushing out and taking everything back. It's impossible. It's really hard to keep a nation one ported.
Yeah, which is exactly what happened to Britain.
It's really
I'm
hard
sorry
to
to
keep
say.
one ported.
The point is, Marsh, you will drive players away, and the last thing this game needs
Exactly.
is players going away from it.
I agree.
There's plenty enough left.
Yeah, no,
Can I just say
I can
that-
see the argument for both sides.
Can I just say that you're getting very optimistic when you consider the fact that the towers and stuff are going to be boosted? Doing port battles is going
Yes,
to
I
be
like
harder.
to imagine
So-
they'll still be able to win.
Well, this is it. You're kind of assuming something that you don't know how it's going to unfold in the first place. But what's the point in discussing it?
No, there's no point in discussing a situation where the towers get buffed and you can't win an offensive port battle, because I'm not playing the game if that's the case.
Yeah, well,
so
I
let's
mean-
assume that port battles are winnable.
The mod said that if they made San Juan historical, open mic Davos.
What is that?
If they
in
made
the background, huh?
if they made
User was moved out of
San
your
Juan
channel.
historical, I think it's got something like 900 cannons, so that'd be quite good fun.
Yeah, of course, sure.
User
But
joined your channel. User joined your channel.
gameplay better than realism.
Yeah. So are we expecting? So on global, there's no time limit, is there? There's no
User disconnected from your
care bear
channel.
period where you can and can't attack. It's open slava. Yeah, you lose a
Save
port.
for, I believe, a
There's
We don't
2-hour
know yet.
period
Clear
during the
statement.
reset.
Yeah.
When they, just do the server maintenance.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the tower buff and all that won't make port battles impossible. What I'm saying is they may improve it enough that you're not going to be able to unport people, because you're just
but
going to go through too much.
But the problem is the word may. We can't make based on the word may.
But we have to.
It's one of those things we're not even sure that.
Alright, more likely.
will happen, and if it does happen, there definitely should be something discussed about it.
Yeah.
Right now, it's like,
If you want
this
to take
could be like an
everything under
entire different group
consideration.
we're going into here.
We
Gentlemen,
might have
one
world
sec.
peace tomorrow.
Can we get back to, so are we agreed that it's going to pretty much be the U.S. versus the Brits with the pirates?
Yeah.
Is that what we're accepting as the norm right now?
I think so. Pirates,
sounds
Brits,
about right.
Pirates,
The Chinese
Brits,
are damn.
US.
We still have other clans going other places.
But they're going to be the
Yeah,
core
and-
power blocks. This is why I think turning alliances off is a disaster. So the 12 or 15 guides who want to play Swede should be able to align
Yeah,
with
they're
somebody.
They have said though that the smaller factions might have temporary alliances available to them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
we
how
still
fucking
have
long
to
is that going
distribute.
to take to get implemented? 6 months?
I
And how are they even going to measure that? I mean, what, by how many players are in that nation? Well, what if they're not playing?
The smart
even
way is
then,
to go
Jeheil-
about where regions and ports owned.
Even then,
Well,
Jeheil,
there's-
we
there's
can
a-
go
there's a
back
player
to the
driven
old style
solution.
alliances.
Yeah, but you can't.
Yeah.
We
You
can
can't.
go
like
back
what
to
we
the
had
old style
earlier.
alliances.
Correct, but
Yeah,
you
but what
can't
does that
build
matter?
stuff.
The old style alliances don't let us fill a port battle.
That's true. That is true. But you can still have an alliance with someone. Still,
Yeah, and to be fair, screening would be more effective with no alliances, so...
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
you
but
can, that's still an option.
Especially if they remove teleport into battle.
Well,
Yeah, but that's not
there is that,
creating
but-
good content.
Teleport into battle,
It's
go
not,
and play
but if
World
you
of
have,
Warcraft.
Let's
if you have a
test
thing
it.
where you have the Danish and the Swedish and they're ready to be friends, the Danish have a port battle and the Swedish screen for them, and the Danish and the Swedes have an economic alliance as well.
Well, looking at the moment, let's just say we're going off these kind of numbers, they can't even fill a port battle.
Yeah, but it's great.
No,
have,
just
have
great.
all the economic alliance, have all the screening alliance you want. It's irrelevant if you can't field 25 people for the port battle.
We have to move. We can't keep these
Yeah.
numbers like they are.
No.
Can we
you
also
can't.
keep in mind that this is early access, this is alpha, and we're testing.
But it's not an endless excuse, to be honest, dude.
Yeah, this is early access, this is alpha, and where testers has been abused as an excuse.
Well,
for
if this
far
is
too
early
long.
access, then they
Yes.
shouldn't be giving a shit about night flips and stuff like that, and just letting everything go.
Yeah,
for
if this
testing.
were early access, we wouldn't get a patch every 3 months. We also would not be buying the game for $40, and they wouldn't be. Honestly, it just wouldn't be the quality it's at.
It's an excuse for them not to have to do anything. We don't
Yeah.
have to do
No,
anything
it's not
because
an
it's early
excuse.
access.
let's test this out, see how it goes without the alliances, and make constructive criticism about how we shall go forward and what can be done instead of just complaining.
The thing is, we have tried to construct criticism again with the devs, and they just ban us. They just
We've already tested it without alliances too, and it worked okay when our population was 3 times as high.
It's also not the first meeting we're having. Like, it's not like the player base is sitting on their ass and just constantly go on devs do it for us.
This is not really we had an announcement. Quiet, please. We had an announcement yesterday. All right, about the redeemable XP. So I assume everyone knows about it. If they don't, I'll just give a brief recap, right? You join a server. The 2 servers are basically going to be wiped completely. No clans, no nothing, no players. Everyone's going to join, create a new player on the server. Excuse me, and they're going to get redeemable, craftable up to level 50, and redeemable up to Rear Admiral. And once you redeem that, you cannot get it back on that server. So it's you know,
it means you can't
April
change
21st, presuming whenever the servers go up, you join a nation. Once you redeem your XP, you're stuck. You cannot delete that character and rejoin another nation again.
And as far as I can tell as well, you will get blueprints now as a given drop, so you will lose your blueprints, but your crafting experience will dictate that if you...
Blueprints are going to be some sort of token redeemable system or whatever.
So it's a combination.
What I'm hinting at is...
you level up automatically.
Unless, it could change in the next 2 weeks. We don't know. But right now, if you were to join another server, create another character in a nation, redeem all your XP to Rear Admiral and level 50 crafting, you're stuck. You can't delete that character, you can't move again.
And if you do, you basically start out at midshipman again.
Yeah, and it's the fucking dumbest thing they can do, but they want to do it for whatever reason. So it's like I said, pending other changes, it's imperative that we get the balancing right, because just looking at the spreadsheet, all right, we got 17 people in Denmark, 15 people in Sweden or whatever, right? And if they go there and they're fucking stuck, that's 2 nations that are going to die because they can't do anything RVR-wise.
Denmark, fine.
They click not only under a gentleman
it doesn't matter.
agreement in a port battle where if they come with 10 people, the other nation that they're fighting against agrees only to bring in 10 people as well.
Yeah, that works.
You don't know that.
Never gonna
You don't
happen.
know that until the battle starts, and then you got to talk the side that has
the host.
Yeah, then you got to talk the side who has an obvious win out of giving up their obvious win. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So,
not
gonna happen. I mean, it's RVR. If you lose it, you turn around and you flip it again and take it back when you got numbers.
I think on global, our position on global, our position should be that we want to let's use global as a test bed for a sort of restraints off type of game. So if you're going to night flip, you night flip, no one complains. If you go into a port, it's 25 versus 15, so be life, and let's just leave the game unrestrained and then see what's broken about it, rather than just trying to guess constraints with like 300 people online. It's daft.
Honestly, if you get night flip, just day flip harder,
Yeah, exactly.
Guys,
can counter it to some degree.
We're not trying to we're not trying to restrain anybody with anything here. We're trying to even it out.
Yeah.
Any way you cut it, if we don't even it out, we lose some players will leave the game, and we can't lose any more if we want to continue playing this game.
So we're talking about the betterment of the game, the longevity of the game here.
But
what we can't have is 2 very large nations and a little bit of people in other nations. So either everyone needs to go to big mega block nations, or we need to distribute a little bit better.
And I think the distribution is going to be Brits and US, with pirates as a possible third. If another nation rises, then good stuff. But until the devs actually implement a reason to join a small nation, most people will gravitate towards the place where they're going to get big biffs.
You mean self-respect?
That's also going to make people quit the game. I mean, these 2 nations are pulling in all these people. And right now we still only have 2 port battles. How are these people going to get the fight? Are they going to be screening the whole time because they don't know the old crew that's been doing the port battles? If we get people back, that's exactly what's going to happen.
What I
That's
hope
why I
is
would have
that
said we use Haiti for the small nations port battles.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Can just do random port battles on Haiti and we don't interfere.
But I think
so. What I'm kind of hearing here is that people in U.S. and Great Britain don't want to split up and fill in the smaller nations. Is that
well,
correct?
no,
Not
we
necessarily.
were. Our clan is British at the moment, but we're going to switch straight away. We're going to leave them because try and even up the numbers. I don't think any clan knows 100% where they're going to go because obviously they've got to go back, talk to their members, and find out what the consensus is.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, most of our decisions are probably going to be made at the last minute based on last available developer information.
Well, why don't we agree to have another meeting closer to the end?
I think that's
a good idea. After this stuff hits test.
I mean, we got a pretty good idea of the current populations. Keep that, and then let's wait on ideas pending more developer wisdom.
Yeah. And I think as a
that's
group,
one way forward.
As we go forward, once global's been wiped and we start up on global, we should start banging the devs with our requests based on an open server now that we don't have the two sort of completely different mindsets in the same world. So if we want to have more than 2 flags, and if we don't want to have a 2-day cooldown, we should really push hard as a community on the global server to say no limit on flags, no limit on cooldown. That way night flips don't matter, you just day flip it straight back, something along those lines.
Did you see that excuse that there were only 2 port battles because of the night flips?
Oh yeah,
that's a load of bullshit, huh?
Bullshit. There's only 2 port battles because we don't have the population for more.
Yeah.
And players hated it when we spam bought 15 flags to cover one attack. That's why it happens.
Guess where we're going.
That's Dutch on PvP too.
One thing I'd like to get out of this is I think we can make like a public forum post saying, hey, we need you to spread the resources out or something like that.
Yeah, I think
live oak ports. Maybe Jeheil throw something up. Everyone in here sign it. Make it look popular.
We'll bung something in. I'll put something in the suggestions thread that post wipe, every nation has at least 1 live oak port to begin with, which they should then defend. Yeah.
Yep. Guys, why don't we team up?
If
and make
every nation has it, then what's the use of fighting over a region?
Oh, because you take it.
Fun.
Yeah, you take it off them. You try to take it off them.
At least more spread out than what it is. I mean, 2 live oak ports that are right next to U.S. territory.
Yeah, it needs 1 or 2 more, but not
spread out a few.
Guys,
more, you know?
last time they did the coding, I mean, that took the months to figure out where they're putting the resources. Why don't we just tell them we want it to go back? We want what we had before the patch.
I agree.
Where every nation had what needed within 5 ports.
I mean,
that's what we want back. It's easy. They have it. They can just put it back.
To the point.
No, I don't like that because too many people just sit in one spot. You need to spread the game players around.
Hang on.
We don't have the players to ship it around.
What they did talk about was instead of the region bonuses, you're gonna have like region notes, and I think it'd be important if we fight over those rather than stupid resources. So everyone's got live oak, everyone's got mahogany, cedar, whatever. But what we do fight over is the region bonuses, like stronghold, pirate refit, whatever.
But so long as the region bonuses remain overpowered as they currently are, a stronghold port is literally your access ticket to RVR. It's virtually impossible to win without one.
Yeah, so you got to fight over them.
We do need to try and keep people going around the map rather than just sticking that one port. I think that's a ridiculous idea.
Yeah,
you don't want to go back to doing
that.
that.
Be resorted, dude. The 2 power blocks we have right now, US and Britain. The US pretty much controls both live oak ports.
Yeah, fine. I'm not saying don't have more live oak ports. What I'm saying is you don't want to try and put everything in one place. It's just stupid. Otherwise, what's the point in having the big open world when you may as well just sit in bloody lobbies?
The thing is, Ed, the only thing is that the way it was before, more people were playing back then.
Yeah, the reason you concentrated is because we don't have the population we used to. So you can have 100 people around Haiti, or you can have 5 people around Haiti and everyone else spread all across the map. What's more fun? At least you know where to go to do something.
Right now,
so in other words, you may as well just go to a lobby system for the port battles, because otherwise there's no point.
A lot of people are playing for the PvP. If they can't find PvP, they log off permanently. If you concentrate people on driving around in a short route where nobody can catch them and there will be never any PvP where you have no population.
The thing is, the amount of times I've sailed around in enemy waters looking for someone to go and fight.
User
Nothing.
disconnected from your
And
channel.
you
AI
do.
fleets everywhere.
User
Yes,
disconnected
Crowley,
from
I'll
your
get
channel.
right back on them AI fleets. It's
No,
boring.
I'm saying is there's too many of them. That's my point.
There is. I mean, the AI fleets are stupid. It's also, there's no incentive at the moment. There is no incentive to go into open world unless you are actually turning up to a portal or anything or something like that. There is no. You don't get people just moving around trading and stuff. The 2 live oak ports, if I wasn't or American, I would just send an alt into that nation, get out, send it to a free town, then trade it over to myself.
Yeah,
The
but
problem is you
alts
shouldn't have to send
yeah.
alts into resources.
You can't
No,
design
but what I'm
around
saying
alts.
That's
is-
reality.
No, but what I'm saying is,
Yeah, but the reality
it
sucks,
shouldn't.
and they should change it.
But they need to. You need to distribute the resources more and make it maybe take it back to the old way where it is within 5. Like everyone has at least 5 ports where they can get more or less everything.
So I've put a post up in suggestions with what I think is a balanced thing, and I've put a link into the chat below.
Everyone disagree, dislike this shit. Get as many views as possible.
And change what you think. I've
Rate
just
the
put
topic.
a balanced piece in.
I mean, I see where they came from with the whole live oak thing. Live oak technically is Virginia oak, so it should only appear in the US. It's so incredibly important. You have to have it.
Yeah, but
separated
it
over the
spans from North Carolina to Texas.
Hell, live oaks.
So.
Yeah, but still, you can't just have it in the US regions. Like that's the major problem right now.
No.
I mean,
As
realistically,
Augustus
it might be
said.
right, but for a game, it just kills it.
Yeah.
As Augustus said
They
earlier,
can have
there's
traders set up for exporting from America to the other.
Or you
areas.
bring back the Euro Trader thing.
but there's
Because you
can
cannot rely on
counter
players
live
to
oak with
export
crafting.
live oak to enemy nations.
but there's
Not
accuracy.
every-
That's what
players.
the Euro Trader handled.
This
Again,
is
Euro
guys,
Trader,
don't
it means you can
forget
get your hands
that
on anything.
don't forget that the contraband flag is supposedly also disappearing. That means we cannot get it out anymore.
Not exactly.
So-
Because they hinted that it's coming back, and if you attack someone with a flag on it, it does the free-for-all pirate battles. So I think it's going back to old smuggler flag ways, where anyone can attack a smuggler.
Uh-huh.
So I
mean,
think in
even
all
then,
things we need to
the
balance.
way to avoid it is in alt, and that
Yeah.
simply increases the alt population.
And
Yeah.
that's just more problems, more exploits.
Well,
more,
it's also more
non-attackable
money for
ships.
them, so it's an understandable decision from their point of view.
I think as well the devs tend to banter around this realism word.
No, they use realism as a
when it
shield of
suits
bad
them
gameplay
as well.
decisions.
Yeah. I mean, they'll turn around and say, yeah, realism for the live oak, but there's lots of other things that aren't realistic. So,
Right,
Yeah,
we got a lot more people in here.
Like a surprise being able to destroy fucking first rate in 3 stern rakes. Piss off.
Let's get some likes on Jeheil's post and get some agreeds up there.
Just one other point just to make. I mean, with the resource distribution, hunting, open water, PvP. The reason why it was better a year ago, 6 months plus, was because there was more people playing too.
Yeah.
So I mean, it doesn't matter if the resources are all centralized around capitals or not. You gotta have people
Can you
sailing
guys
the
hear me?
boats.
Yes.
I've said this earlier already, because like at 2,000 players, you had 300 people dedicated traders. They can ship resources all over the map.
Yeah, I mean,
I
a
can
year ago,
also tell you
sailing
why a
for
lot
2
of
hours
players
for good-
disappeared
for
from
good
open
haul.
world.
the
User
resource
joined your
distribution
channel.
was a lot better a year ago, and I had more fun hunting people. There was more people sailing.
The devs development is kind of like a year behind the current player base. Like the resource
User
separation
disconnected
isn't
from your
necessarily
channel.
bad, neither is the hostility. But it is only good when you have the player count to counter the economy, to counter hostility. If you can do hostility within an hour and it takes you an hour just to get 25 players together, then you can't counter that.
And if players find fights that are kind of even, that are kind of interesting, they will keep playing. Because that's what's drive a PvP game.
Exactly. But the devs
Yeah.
also need to put an economic incentive in for fair fights. As simple as something like a scaling reward based on the BR difference. So if you
That
fight
would be
someone
good.
6v1, you don't get much of a reward.
That should be it.
And
that's,
I mean,
problem is-
that's how it was in Dark Ages of Camelot. If you killed a single one with 6
I love
people,
this, man.
you got a few points. If you killed one-on-one, yeah, well, you got 100 instead of 6 points.
Yeah.
1100.
And if these people, this didn't avoid being ganked, and happened a lot. I have seen Zergs. There were cool times when I've met Zergs with 10 people. Oops, what's that? But it was fun.
Yeah, but you still get 100 points just for killing one of those Zerg guys, while they all only get 6 points, so in the end, it will encourage to at least reduce the amount of gankers.
Hey,
What I lost was a few points in durability. Not my whole ship, but I lost a few points for my weapons. Okay, fine enough. I'll make a new one.
Here's the question I do have, though, and we don't know the answers to until the crafting system comes into account, is if things are going to be all one Jura for every ship, then seemingly I assume it will only take 1/5 or whatever percentage it is for the ships, as they need to be crafted now, to actually make them.
We have absolutely no information about this.
And now if they
no,
are,
I think they said
then
that.
that's it fucking done.
I think they said they would scale back the cost of the ships for
If you look at it now, when you try to sell a 5 Dura ship and a 3 Dura ship, you already see the difference in the amount of money you get. So there is already a system in place.
Yeah, but the other thing to keep in mind is if they go through with making blueprints like one-time use items are available only with PvP points, they're also going to kill the dedicated crafters of the game, the guys who come in to build ships.
User left your channel.
I honestly, it's not even about whether I have to use 200 redwood for it or 20. It's the fact that I need every single resource of the map. That even if I only have to go out once a week to get it, I need to go to every single freaking port around my crafting zone to get all these resources together, because there is no trader anymore to do it for me.
Excuse me, that's where clans come in. You can organize it. If you want to play this game as a single player game, sorry, this is not for you.
Even the clans
Then
struggle to do this
that
now.
kills the non-clan base, which is the majority of people that you will see out in the open.
And it's the only way to drag new
the
people
clans
into
log
clans.
on for 3 hours. They play 1 hour of hostility, and then 2 days later they play 2 hours of port battle. That's it. They don't play much more anymore. They get 1 or 2 players crafting.
It all depends how many hours the single player has. If you only have like half an hour a day or 2 hours a week, yeah, it's gonna work for almost no game.
I mean, the open world is filled by a bunch of scrubbies and then 2-3 gang squads.
But again, that's a numbers
as long
thing,
as I
right?
avoid the gang squads, it's fun sailing.
But this is a numbers thing. You've got to realise the game should be built or designed for a server with 1,000 to 2,000 people on it, and all of the mechanics are a little bit hobbled if there's only 200, 250 of us on, and this is difficult to remember as a player because you love the game. But it's even harder to look after for the devs. They're trying to build a system for 1,000 to 1,500, and we're pottering around with what used to be 600 and what will probably be 300 going forward. It's a real problem, I think.
They would help themselves if they actually listen to people rather than keep banning people and stop driving their players away.
Or counter to that is they'd help themselves more if they listen to people less and just stuck to the principles of their game design, to be honest.
I would agree with that. However, I mean, if they're going to listen to their player base less, they need to stop posting in the comment section, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
They need to update their posts on the main post, and they need to stop arguing with everybody in the comment section.
Yeah, I agree.
They need community managers like a lot of games had, where all this community was managed by one single person, had one single voice. No matter how internally the dev team quarreled, it was not coming out to the player base.
Yeah, the game could benefit a lot from community managers.
Yeah, just
They need a
for the
PR
fact
person,
alone that the
because,
admin isn't particularly
devs are not
patient.
good PR people.
User joined your channel.
No, the admin isn't patient. He's got a really short temper, and
He's very sensitive.
yeah,
Very sensitive.
criticism really isn't his thing. So
The admin is not a single person.
It's a shared account
Mhm.
between all developers.
Well,
Each
that's
claim
why
they're
you
all
are-
not the case, and you can see.
Whoever is the guy who routinely snaps, that
I
guy
disagree on the
person.
admin having a shared account because there are multiple admirals on the forum.
But you see, I've always been of the opinion, right, that it's not the customer. So customers didn't design airplanes. Customers should talk about how much leg space they
User
want and what
disconnected
food
from
they
your
want.
channel.
But the core design should be done by the engineers, and then it's the add-ons that should be done through community consultation.
Maybe, but then if you're going to charge the AAA price and just basically ignore whatever anyone says, keep having a go at people when they make a suggestion.
Yeah, a little,
your only friends.
a
It's
little
not
bit
gonna-
though.
you
But
know.
imagine in here, what do you
Then-
say across the base of the people in this chat right now? We paid $40 for a game. We've probably paid about 2 cents an hour. So the price isn't something that really should get you go.
No, the problem
No,
is
what gets people's blood up is that they want to love this game.
Yeah.
And they
Yep.
feel like they're watching it go away
Here, here.
in front of them.
Exactly. So
Exactly.
A dream spoiled is worse than a dream never had.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all.
That's what I told my third
Well,
wife.
we have that already.
We're going so deep here.
Well, let's
Alright.
simply agree that we could do with a lot better communication with the devs. And let's hope that they listen on that point and turn around a bit. And from the community, let's put a little bit less salt in our posts in that.
If all
I
of you
agree.
guys could look into chat, Vanderdecken just posted a straw poll. It'd be kind of interesting to see. It's what nation you'll be going after the wipe. If you could all do that, that'd be great.
Yeah, this was a Texas poll he posted earlier.
Yeah, either way, need some more votes.
So, Christendom, can you stick the links to all these lovely things that we're getting, like the spreadsheet and the straw poll, in your OP post on this? On
I don't know if it's a
this
good
convo?
idea to link the.
Yeah, let's not link the.
I
agree.
When the meeting is
User
over, I'll
joined
link a
your channel.
screenshot of it.
Yeah,
'cause I
okay.
don't-
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't
No, I
trust
know what
some
you're
of those
saying.
fuckers over there.
Yeah,
And then,
fuckers,
I
a
mean,
lot
I
of
can
them.
lock it. I can lock it and then share it.
Yeah, and
then
next
we
thing
can
they'll be
revisit it
duplicating
at
it
the
and stuff,
other
you know?
meeting.
Or create a backup spreadsheet as well,
Yeah.
and then
Just a screenshot of it is.
Yeah. But I think
Screenshot is good enough.
I think what we really need is more information from the devs before we can really truly try and balance
Yeah,
things.
there's no real good decisions we can make with the information we have right now.
So let's assume
And that's not
you know,
going to change.
Let's assume the weekend. Let's do the Saturday before this shit actually does come out. Let's try and set something up. You know.
Do we know
Maybe.
which weekend that is? Is it still the 20th, or is it? I heard the end of the month
the
on some
end
of the
April,
posts.
whatever
Yeah.
that is. Yeah. Which means it's probably the end of May.
Which in dev speak is the 45th of April.
Yeah. So I mean, let's
2027. Yeah.
let's
So the 19th,
guesstimate.
20th is a
User
Wednesday and
joined your
Thursday.
channel.
So I would say 2 weeks from now is the weekend before that. And we
Let's
can figure
tentatively
from there.
say for like the 29th. You know, maybe we'll see something.
Currently, the date that's still floating around is the 19th to the 20th, where they intend to down the servers
User
and redo
disconnected
them.
from your channel.
However, I think they're keeping it quite of open in this end of the month
User
to have
disconnected
everything
from your
working
channel.
again in full.
Hey, Maroonies. Okay, so I think we do have a question actually for you. And
User
do you know
joined
what
your
the devs are planning for the resources? For example, are they planning on spreading them out?
And by when? This patch, next patch.
No information about when and in which way they are going to change.
Okay,
Currently, from-
and so the ship durability thing, because this also relates to resources quite directly, are resources required to build ships going to scale down directly with the new durability? So like a 5 durability ship will have 1/5 the resources required to make them.
I don't think so, because currently you also have to like place enough carriages and so on for a single ship. So this one at least will not change. Same with the frame parts and anything.
That's gonna be so much to do for the crafters.
Yeah,
for
sure.
That's good.
Something
Something to do in the game.
No, but it also
Hey, man.
necessitates
Yeah, but
the availability
it's
of
tedious
resources
work.
has
It's
to
not
go up.
fun to ship around all
Now,
day.
the one thing that this
Speak for
is
yourself.
going to do,
don't worry too
durability
much
ship
about shipping
environment.
things around because the current Indiaman will be dwarfed
User
by the
left your
next
channel.
couple trader ships that are coming.
Yeah.
What do we get? A container ship?
No, but
Well-
something like a trader victory.
Something everyone has to be prepared for too is the fact that with captured ship, if we all go to Wandura, captured ship is worth just as much as a new built ship. So gank squads suddenly have a real purpose other than just stomping people.
Not
As
quite,
long as you carry the
because
fleet
there are
perk,
something
otherwise
that
you
you
gotta
missed
destroy the
because
ship.
of the new system about the models, where you have the XP of the ship itself. So if
Yeah.
so it's possible to capture a ship that is essentially a legendary one,
User
where you
disconnected
would
from your
normally
channel.
have not yet access to, because he simply grinded it out.
I think they need to let all ships be available to crafters as well, personally.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the port battleship being only by rare blueprints cuts a lot of people out from joining port battles.
So
I
at the
don't think
moment on the test server, you
making
can
an
get
ocean
that.
and that-
You can get those rare mods by doing missions and earning marks, and then basically buying the blueprint from the Admiralty shop. You can certainly get the Agamemnon blueprint that way.
But that's a note, not a blueprint.
Yeah,
The
but
only
still,
one
want
that
the
gives
blueprint. You
is
should
the
be able
pirate
to get the
frigate and the pirate
blueprint.
ship.
no, you're right. I see what you're saying. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Also, the nodes need to be definable.
was moved to
There's
your
no
channel.
point in me getting a node and then getting like a third L'Océan or something. That's just a waste
Yeah.
of time.
Spending all those marks.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how disappointing it is to get a build strength, strong hull, Bermuda Cedar Ocean.
Hey, fire ship. Best fire ship in the world, man.
The thing is, you know, it does unless you know someone who can actually the ships, it rules you out of. Like I've had people ask me, and I've had to go and get one of our crafters to build them a ship. See whether we can actually build.
You know how many oceans I've built for people now? I have never even built one for myself yet, but I've built like 15 oceans.
Yeah, I know of several crafters who pretty much said, I'm not crafting anymore because every day I spend more than 2 hours just crafting for other people and not actually playing the game anymore.
The thing is, the blueprints, if they're going, these port battleships are going to be so important that you have to have this, like an Agamemnon, you have to have an Agamemnon for a fourth rate, then it should be open that everyone could be able to potentially craft it. Because otherwise, you're just rolling out half the
will
people.
not be the main ship anymore after
It
the
is open because then you just got to get enough PvP marks to get those blueprints from the
Yeah,
African.
but that's for a note.
Bear in mind, the first
No,
days
but that
when
the
this
test
came
server
out.
is not the final. That's just the test server.
But bear in mind, the first days this kind of mechanic came out, it created a massive inequality with the French fleet, for example, having the heavy rattle, and pretty much just going only for shallow water ports because nobody could oppose them anymore. The Dutch lost
that's where we
was
got
that
screwed with
Pampertal
stupid
or
treasure
something?
things because only a couple nations, which were the strongest nation, got the blueprints.
Oh yeah.
That's what killed us on PvP2 in shallow water.
First one, smack dab in the middle of the Gulf.
Whatever they do, it has to be evened out. It just has to be.
This like
But if-
random, you could have access or you just don't, needs to disappear. This RNG never ends well for people.
We
And
will
it
know
never
when the
gets
test
people
server comes
appeased.
out on that part, though. The blueprints.
So blueprints should come available after a certain period. Drop into
think
the
they should-
normal blueprint system, and so that the devs can develop some new models that might be better, that
I
be
think
considered
if-
elite again.
I think that if you're going to do rare blueprints, maybe have it for a ship that isn't port battle designed. But the ones that are port battle for RVR content should be anyone should be able to get access to them technically, because otherwise you're locking people out of a major part of them.
If it's in the Admiralty shop, then it's a gold that you get from doing port battles. You get the best ship from doing port battles.
I've never minded the whole thing with the yacht. It's really a novelty ship. Nobody needs that after, like, you play the game for 2 hours, you don't need that ship anymore. But something like the heavy rattle, the Agamemnon, that is just majorly bad for the game.
Ocean as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
so real quick, on Jeheil's topic, Hethwill just commented and asked what motivates a small nation to go to RVR war then. Apart from combat, which can be perfectly done, I think he meant perfectly be done, without even resorting to RVR because we already have all the resources, we don't need to conquer anything.
That's not what the post says at all. It's saying distribute it more.
Mm-hmm. But that is just
okay,
a
but
question
I would postulate
that
then what
moderator
fun is
posted.
it? What fun is it for a small nation to have no resources and no ability to compete on an RVR scale.
Yeah. And I think that's something we should all
Good luck seizing a port when the enemy has 25 strong hull ships and you don't. Even worse if they have an ocean fleet and you're stuck in Victories and Santies.
Yeah, we've been there. I mean, France had no resources, couldn't make ships, and how do you compete?
You have mortar bricks. It's not like something can turn on a dim.
You find ways of taking ports when other players aren't playing. Simple as that.
Exactly. You resort to the only thing you can do. You resort to the only thing you can do, which is to employ the tools you have to win. But we've all seen what happens when people do that. Suddenly, now we're looking at. Suddenly, we're looking at two servers because one side played to its strengths.
Just before, did anybody tell Hitler during World War II he couldn't attack at night? I mean, that.
I never heard of it.
That could have saved the Brits a hell of a lot of trouble.
Yeah, you cannot bomb at night. It's not fair when people are sleeping.
Boom, are you comparing the US to Hitler or the Eastern Alliance?
So we need to give carrots to all the captains, and everything will be fine.
When did Hitler get into this?
I think the main difference between Naval Action and World War II is Naval Action's a game.
Is it though?
Yes. It's not a game, it's a way of life.
I don't know, we've got 30+ grown men sitting in a room debating about it. I think it's gone past the point of being a game.
I'm not
but
I was told to be here.
I think the devs kind of need to get that into them as well, that it is a game. They can't expect us to sit in front of this 10 hours a day. I don't have the time anymore.
Well, and here's the problem with the way the game's kind of been designed. It's so grindy. It used to be twice as grindy. I'm sure plenty of you remember when the XP was twice as much.
Yeah,
so it's clear that devs
there was
do
no
know.
assist XP.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, compared to a lot of other games out there, this is not that grindy.
Well, not anymore. No, definitely not anymore.
No,
but it's
but
still
for a
too
paid game, it is
grindy to be
grindy.
considered a game. It becomes more of a chore in the late game, because if you have level 50 crafter and your max rank, and you have literally at least 3 or 4 copies of every ship in the game at this point, you know, I mean, you go out there, you fight, it's the same old tactics every time, and eventually it gets boring. You know, there's nothing new to do.
We need more content.
What is content?
Content
I hear this question a
is
lot.
raids,
Definitions.
better events, raids, exploration missions.
Yeah, why did
different
they
mission
take out the
types.
Battle of Trafalgar event? Why did they take that out?
I would say that raids that are not PvE events, though.
Yeah.
Like their proposed implementation of raids is, in my opinion, terrible.
But to be
I
fair,
have to
PvE also needs some
disappoint you
more
with one
content.
thing, sadly. Dynamic weather inside is not possible in terms of like the old storm maps.
So why is World of Warships, World of Tanks so successful by pitting a lot of people against each other?
It's a
and
dropping
they're
game.
doing it for hours and hours and hours.
It's a dropping game.
That's what the audience wants.
ship. You could
that
just log
target
in and
audience
play.
wants that instant battle, easy to get in, easy to finish, and then rinse, repeat.
And
Yeah,
also,
you still work to an
there's
object.
no risk to actually losing in that game either. Sure, you'll
Correct.
lose some silver, but you can go play tier 1 and play another tier 10 game after 5 or 6 matches. And you don't lose your vehicles or anything. I don't think that that's a proper comparison, to be honest with you.
It's
Even
an
as a
arcade
crafter,
game
it takes you
versus a
2 hours
long-term
just to
game.
replace a first raid, you know? Like, you need to go around the place, get the resources, you need to get the hours back in. Well, first you need to make the materials, then you need to get the hours back in. So you're probably gonna look at least 2 days before you make a new first raid if you work all by yourself. It's way too much effort for like a thing that you can lose within 5 minutes.
They've actually balanced the game that it takes. It should take, according to the devs, it should take 5 days to build a first rate. That's what they've tried to make it at now.
And that's not
An average player
necessarily...
can lose off them at the same time.
But this
I
is,
don't have a problem
I can't.
with that.
I like the idea that there's attrition, and I like the idea that there'll be less first rates sailing around. And you've just got to get
There
them.
won't be, though. People will just work harder and make more of them.
but then you
what is
deserve
the
it.
point? What is the point? Yeah, but what is the point in me
Yeah, but
saying...
the grind is gonna wear people down, and eventually they won't want to do it anymore and leave.
What is
We'll
the
just
point?
buy more alts.
What is the point? What is the point in me sailing a second rate that is one Jura, or a first rather than a first rate that is one Jura? I'm never going to sail a second rate again.
Players want to play with the big things, not with the small things.
I don't like this.
There was way too many jokes there.
Jeheil's
I know, right?
Sorry, if I want to go into a port battle with line ships, first rates, that allows first rates, I want to be in a first rate, not in a second or third rate. There's no point for a second or third rate in that battle. If I'm not coming in the first rate, I'm getting kicked out. For a reason.
The meta doesn't allow for them. That's why there's no. There's plenty of point for them in the battle. It's just that the meta doesn't allow it. So we as players don't want them in the battle because it's a team game and we want to win.
The introduction of armor values kind of killed the whole diversity because you then needed to bring the biggest ship or you were the weak point.
What they could do is do something to try and help stuff like Bolognas and all that third rates to actually be more useful in the battles.
How many of you guys have been on the testbed servers recently?
Never.
Nope. Okay, so you guys have not tested the interior structure system at all.
I've been on.
No. But all I got from it, from what I have heard from it, from people that have done it, is that it's just going to be a stone rake fest. That's all.
It's a little bit better now. It's a little bit better. Basically, if you take an armor, if you take the armor down off one side of a ship, you do tremendous structural damage, and that's how you essentially finish a ship off. So you can do it through stern raking, but they have balanced it a little bit, and it's probably the same as crew
more
killing
or less,
now.
From what I got from it, is smaller ships could still have a little bit more importance in a battle.
Oh, I think they do, considering they're turning around and saying that a surprise can do master first rate in about 3 or 4 passes.
Well, I've not seen
the problem
that
is
to be
that
true.
stern armor is so
not
low
3 or 4
that you
passes,
start...
but it'll be able to do something like that.
But stern armor is so low that you start damaging internal structure immediately, and once you've demasted somebody's, even take one mast off a victory in a surprise, there is no recovering from that for the victory.
Nope. And you just core the thing out, and it sinks.
Yep. But that first rate shouldn't be selling by itself in the first place to get caught by the surprise.
Okay.
Exactly.
Sure. You don't have the player numbers to always have 10 people with you. That's the problem.
Alright, here's the thing. This is why in PvP2 we don't sell in line tactics, because that doesn't exist. With the implementation of this, line tactics will actually become a viable tactic. It won't be
Line
some
tactics
stupid
are a
fancy
viable
thing.
tactic already.
Yeah, already.
Yeah,
because
Actually,
it is.
that'll make
But
line
stern
tactics
rates
less
as-
valuable. Because you'll need the brawl to protect the back end.
No. Line tactics will be more valuable because then it'll require you to protect your stern and your bow much more.
You will
than what it is
concentrate
now.
all the damage on the guy in front and the rear, sure.
And not to mention, like what I was going on with the whole entire interior structure, you're probably gonna need a variation of ships here and there, because first rates are, just in the first rate battles alone, the Ship of the Alliance, those ships aren't the fastest moving. If you could get a fast ship going around these things, especially one with a good turn rate, you could be doing some major damages to a fleet.
No, it doesn't work like that, because if you take a small ship like that into a first-rate battle, I'll tell you that small ship's fate. It's going to get annihilated, because the whole fleet, knowing how threatening it is going to shoot at it.
2 broadsides, it'll have no sails whatsoever.
Yeah, one wrong turn and a victory that doesn't have anything better to shoot at, and you're down.
Exactly. That's it. If you've ever been in a mixed battle fleet, that's how it actually works out in the real game, is we focus fire on those ships because they're a threat and because no one wants to sail their victory with 600 crew. So guess what? I order that guy killed first.
And they're easy points.
Kill the weak to make the strong weaker.
So that's how it actually works. In a 1v1 battle, the surprise definitely has the advantage over the Vic in the current.
We tried it, remember, Augustus, in Trinidad, didn't we? The first port battle. Yeah. We took Connie's in there.
Yeah, and they got demolished.
Yeah.
But
they were
the point
defending
is, the
user disconnected from your channel.
The thing is, we're going to wind up in a situation there where, a surprise is super deadly to a first rate in this game, as long as it's 1v1. Once you start adding more ships, it becomes virtually impossible for the surprise to avoid getting shot at, which is his only really real option. So I don't believe it will create diversity in port battles, which I think the game needs. I mean, I've sailed almost every ship in this game, and I've sailed almost every ship that's been part of the port battle meta in a port battle.
Well, do you guys remember the Trafalgar event that
On
they
a
hosted?
Saturday.
Because that event, if I remember right, it limited the sides to have certain amount of line ships, frigates, and whatnot. Why don't they
That
just
would
do
be
that
a better.
for...
That would be a much.
Balanced it.
User
You got
disconnected
allocated.
from your channel.
Yeah, but it's a lobby
Yeah, that
system, which turns it into World of
Yeah.
Tanks, which means half the people you're sailing with are numbnuts.
But now, hear me out, Jeheil here.
No.
Why don't they do something like that with the port battles, where it's not a lobby, but when you go there, it says, okay, this is how many line ships are max, and etc. You know, so say 10 line ships and 15 frigates. You know, for a line ship battle.
with that is
So
insane.
who gets to pick who gets to go first?
Your
They
nation
would have
shows
to
up
have
with
a-
15 of them. 5
They would
guys
have
are
to have a
stuck
battle
outside
commander
holding their dicks.
function for that.
Yeah, you would have it would have to incorporate something like the old flag system, where the person buying the flag gets to make a group, and whoever he puts in the group has their spot reserved in the port battle. Without that,
and that's
the
doable.
possibilities for griefing are endless.
And you'd have to also, if you're going to do that, up the group size from 12 up to the 25, so that the person who bought the flag, for example, could have the 25 players, and only those 25 players can actually enter that port battle. Otherwise, you're going to get randoms just jumping in like they are already. I mean, hell,
But that happens anyway.
Well, I have
But
to
since
ask,
we
is that
don't-
necessarily a terrible thing? Because if those randoms are getting in, they're having more fun and they're going to stay in the game more. Is not part of the problem people not getting into the port battles because they're always full, and those same players never get in port battles because they're not part of a major clan and so they quit?
It is
You're
a very-
on
Yeah.
you're on
No,
PvP
no. Had that
already.
already.
You haven't
It's a-
seen you haven't seen the trolling.
If
It's
you
a
go
very
with
valid
25
point,
first rates and one Connie jumps in, it means one first rate is stuck outside.
Yeah, but
how is it fair to that guy to
That's
lose his
about-
ship?
That's completely different. That's
No.
That's why
It's
we're
a very
saying
valid
here's the maximum. Like it would be actual set limits. So say if you had 15 frigates in, and you wouldn't be able to put more than 15 frigates in. You also wouldn't be able to put more than 10 line ships in. That would be the numbers that you would have to have.
Yeah, but
What they need to do is allow
line
us to
ships
continue
sail
to
there.
get aggro up to the port battle, so we can the people that want to get in the battle gets the aggro to join first.
I mean, there needs
They,
to be.
they already have that.
I thought it shuts off as soon as you set the port battle.
As soon as sport battle is set, you can't.
You can't get no more
hostility.
aggro points.
Yeah.
You should have 2 days to continue to get aggro points to get the most to be the ones to get in.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
what you're saying.
Yeah, but
It's
that
still,
means
it's still a very good point. I mean, Crowley, if you remember, back in the old days when us and Dement used to fly around and we used to get loads of lads together.
Yeah.
And we used to.
Frigate squads.
And to be fair, although the port battles weren't necessarily as fair and as good, although some of them were epic port battles and we had great fun, the actual event of doing that was a lot more fun than what we're having now, as in a game sense.
the problem.
You know the main.
The
the
issue
main
we have
problem
now
with
is the
port
one
battles.
evil of the 2-day wind-up. That's what it is. Before, we had you bought the flag, who you had was who you had, and you went and you did your thing. Now, with a 2-day wind-up, everyone wants to sail there and wants to get a piece of the pie.
Do you know
So-
the most problem with port battles now with this new
It was
system?
still a good thing.
Is that because it's the only way for people to get ship paints and potential blueprints. If you took them away and it was like the old system where you turn up and you might get like a mod or you might get some resources, I guarantee you half
Yeah,
the
the
people
resor- the- yeah,
crying
the
about
money
not
was the
getting in,
same, yeah.
they wouldn't even bother half of them because it wouldn't be within their interest. The reason why is because they're forced to go to be able to get these rare blueprints, to be able to participate in the port battles, to be able to get the paints. So in some ways, yes, there is a lot of bitching, but unfortunately the devs have kind of made this problem for us because it's the only way to get these kind of resources really. Unless you go to a PvP zone, yes, you can do that, where
Yeah,
you will
sure,
either
where
get
you're competing against someone whose farming is all right.
farming is all, or you're getting continuously.
But
The
the
devs were
new
supposed
Amity
to
store kind of
introduce
solves
the
that because
screening.
there's other means to get them too, supposedly.
Yeah,
They
I
were
mean,
supposed
the
to
amount of-
introduce the rewards for the screeners.
The amount of people that go there and screeners and they screen continuously because they do not have the ships, they don't get fuck all, and that's not really fair. You know, there's no rewards for
true.
open world
Alright.
PvP.
Let's clear the channel a sec, guys. We're kind of went beyond our scope here. Jeheil's we're gonna close it out.
Yeah.
You know, we can still sit around and chit chat, but the meeting's over.
So look, thanks everyone for coming
Thank you very
along,
much.
and thanks for organising it, Christendom. I mean, you can stay in here for as long as you want, but we'll shut it down as a sort of official gibbering fest, and Christendom will organise something in a couple of weeks, maybe a week out from the latest, a week out from the next time we know a date. So thanks for coming, chaps, and. We'll shut this down in a moment, but anyone who wants to stay gibbering while they're doing their one mission can.
Yeah.
We need more info
I
from the
do
devs.
suggest that once that becomes onto the testbed server, that we go over there and play around with it and see what happens.
And we have lots of things to do around the port battles and PvP. So we have all something to look forward to.
Yeah, because I mean, right now, like with what now 9 days, supposedly, when this thing's supposed to go onto the testbed server. I know a lot of us and a lot of people that aren't here are at the point where it's like, what's the point of even doing our usual servers?
It would be nice if they just